Hello everyone, it's Miggy, as you may or may not know, and today we're going to be seeing if 9 of my closest friends can survive a day of hardcore Minecraft and what their actions can tell me about contemporary political theory. This video will double as my first group collaboration on this channel, as well as my semester project for my contemporary political theory class at CI, so I apologize in advance if you find me code switching from time to time. As always, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and enjoy the video. Before we get started, we need to outline the methods of my project as well as set the scene for anyone who's watching this from my class and maybe doesn't know anything about Minecraft yet. According to the Washington Post, Minecraft is a game in which players create and break apart various kinds of blocks in virtual three-dimensional worlds. According to Microsoft, the company that owns Minecraft, there are 3 game modes that dictate the way the game is played. For the sake of this video, we'll be focusing on the latter 2 being survival and hardcore. Survival mode can be described as the version of the game where players have to interact with the world, including non-player characters and animals, create shelter using building materials made of blocks, harvest food and resources they need to survive, and ultimately fend off threats to their safety such as monsters and hostile terrain. Essentially, what hardcore mode does is it takes those base principles of survival mode with the added element that the player is only given 1 life to live rather than being able to restart the game over and over again whenever they die. In hardcore, if your character takes enough damage or you run out of food to sustain yourself, you're permanently kicked out of the world. This is the game mode I've chosen for this project in order to increase the impact of the player's decisions. Think of this video like watching LEGO cavemen trying to start early civilization and make their first ever political decisions, but the LEGO cavemen are controlled by a bunch of unpaid undergrads who also happen to be my friends. So, what did I actually do? Essentially, the text that I decided to draw on for this project was Morgan Marietta's A Citizen's Guide to American Ideology, which attempts to explain both liberal and conservative ideology as they relate to American politics and policymaking. At the text's core, Marietta makes arguments for how the values and premises of each ideology inform how they address central problems in order to create a better society. For example, liberal ideology operates on the premise that humans in society can cooperate in order to change and perfect their conditions, and thus values identifying who in society is most oppressed in order to create equal conditions for them and enable them to contribute to positive social change. This can be characterized as the oppression question of liberalism. Conservative ideology, on the other hand, operates on the premises that human nature is negative and society is fragile with dangerous internal and external threats that seek to undermine its integrity, and therefore it values institutions that prevent society from falling into chaos, while also ensuring that the state doesn't infringe on people's liberty. This balancing act of managing human corruption while also ensuring individual freedom is known as the glue problem of conservatism. So what does any of this have to do with Minecraft? I put 9 players of varying self-evaluated Minecraft skill levels in a randomly generated environment with constant threats to the safety of their characters. My thought process was that the variety of skill levels and the interactions that ensued would help me identify how a group of people would cooperate to bridge disparities in how they experience the game, and that would let me draw connections to the oppression problem of liberalism. Similarly, placing them in a dangerous environment where certain decisions are necessary to ensure the group's survival while also giving people the opportunity to accomplish their own goals would help me understand how the glue problem relates to this game. With that being said, let's meet our 9 contestants and see what I was able to find. So, I started out with 2 simple questions. First, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Matt.
My name is Jacket.
Hi, hello. I'm Pepper.
Micah.
My name is Chris.
I'm LJ Shoka.
Regan.
Josie.
Hi, I am CJ.
Second, how would you rate your overall skill in survival Minecraft?
So, in terms of survival Minecraft, I'd say it's probably relatively high. Like, not high as in, like, I spend hours, building, like, 300,000 block contraptions, but, good enough where I think I could confidently, beat the Ender Dragon if I needed to. No problem. Like, no worries.
I will say I'm a bit varied. I'm kind of good at pre-1.9 combat, but I do have a little bit of survival skills.
I've been playing the game for about 10 years now. I'd say I'm pretty experienced, but then everyone else seems to be better than me, and they've only been playing for half that, so I don't know anymore.
I think Okay, I think it's alright. Like, I think I can survive. I'm not really good at mining, though. I can build.
A 1
Oh,
out of 10.
How come?
I don't play this like that.
I've been playing as long as you've been, roughly. Give or take a couple, like 1 year. So, pretty high compared to these fools.
Maybe between intermediate and advanced.
Knowledge level, I think it's pretty intermediate, and I usually fall off or die really easily, so just stupidity, probably pretty lower on that side. I will probably die right away.
I would say I would be almost an expert because I've been playing for almost 11 years, probably since maybe 2011. I've been playing survival Minecraft for a long time.
For reference in the rest of the video, this is how I've personally ranked everyone's skill based on how they assess themselves. If you want to pause the video here and just take a quick look at it, you can. Just know that these rankings are completely subjective, and I did definitely move a couple people higher than they had ranked themselves just because I knew that they were underselling their skill. And I played with all these people personally, so I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of that. And just like that, they were off to the races. The two goals I gave my players were the two general goals most associated with survival mode in the Minecraft community, despite the game not having any concrete instructions. First, create shelter you can use to survive. Second, try to quote-unquote complete the game by hunting down the Ender Dragon, which was mentioned before by Matt and is the most difficult and reward-yielding monster obstacle in the game. The first thing I found is that the players almost immediately went off on their own or organized themselves into groups based on the goals I gave them, as well as their own preferences in game. The first group of players I observed were pretty loosely associated, only helping each other to attain as many raw ores as possible so they can make combative gear and weapons they could use to hunt down the dragon. This group consisted of CJ, Matt, and Jacket, with the first two being the most advanced players in terms of skill. For the rest of the video, I'll be referring to them as the hunters. The second group of players was not focused on hunting the dragon, but instead focused on creating a sustainable shelter and source of food through agriculture for their community. Additionally, they cooperated with each other on most tasks and didn't venture out on their own unless their tasks were specifically geared towards a player's skills, such as LJ's mining knowledge or Micah's gift for building. This division of labor allowed for the group to make up for each other's lapses in skill and knowledge, which is important to consider when LJ ranked higher intermediate, while Josie and Micah admitted to not being as well equipped in certain areas of survival Minecraft. I'll refer to this group as the Gatherers, which was made up of LJ, Micah, and Josie. The third group of players, although calling them a group would be a bit of an overstatement, was made up of Chris, Pepper, and Reagan. The reason I say this is because I can only categorize them together based on the fact that they didn't cooperate with any of the other players, or each other, in completing either the goals I assigned them or their own self-assigned goals. Chris evaluated himself as a beginner and chose to seek shelter in a hole for several hours. Pepper evaluated themselves as an intermediate and also focused on creating shelter to live in. And Reagan evaluated himself as a high intermediate but chose to hunt the dragon despite not meeting or cooperating with the hunter group in any capacity. I'll be referring to this group as the Homeowners Association, because like a real Homeowners Association, they weren't tight like that. About an hour into the event, I went to go eat a sandwich for lunch. When I came back, it was revealed to me by the remaining players that 2 people had already died. Keep in mind that this is hardcore survival, so anyone that dies can't come back. Off camera, Reagan and Pepper of the Homeowners Association were eaten alive by zombies in the mountains. Also off camera, LJ of the Gatherers was killed in a mining accident, to no one's surprise. Although I didn't catch it myself, which is unfortunate, you can actually see in later bits of the video where the Gatherers' farm is, that they actually made like a nice little flowered tombstone for him, which I thought was really wholesome, and just a neat tidbit to add in there. Okay, looking back at this, I'm actually sort of surprised at how much off-camera death there is, because not only did LJ die, but Matt, when he was on an expedition with CJ to prepare to hunt the dragon, also met his demise. What the heck? Wait, my memory must be failing me, because now that I'm looking back at the chat logs, it actually turns out the Jacket of the Hunters actually went over to the Gatherers to set up some sort of a trade deal so that he could get some better equipment to help his teammates hunt the dragon. But it turns out that the Gatherers were actually planning on killing him so they could loot his resources. And on top of that, when he was on his way from the Gatherers farm back to wherever he was going to meet with Matt and CJ, he also ended up getting ambushed by monsters and dying violently. The sheer death, destruction, and sabotage that took place while I was getting lunch told me something very crucial about this project. No matter what your level of skill is, you are not immune to the harsh and unforgiving world of Minecraft, or the bad actors that live within it. Thus, as Marietta postulates for conservative ideology, community is necessary in situations like this to fend off threats and contribute to the well-being of the group, but also to provide social cohesion and ensure that everyone shares the same values and priorities with respects to surviving. The alternative, as a conservative would argue, is our blocky society falling into chaos. On the other hand, a liberal would believe that there's still hope yet, and that the 4 surviving players that have now joined forces at the Gatherers farm have the best chances of surviving until the end and defeating the Ender Dragon. Why is that though? Because the last 4 players have continued the Gatherers' mission to ensure that although they experience the game differently, they'll still be able to survive together and achieve their original goals. With 1 advanced player in CJ, 2 intermediate players in Micah and Josie, and 1 beginner in Chris, their ability to accommodate each other's varying and unequal branches of experience has allowed for them to continue on despite conservative ideology's belief in a fragile world. This concludes the project portion of my video, and if you'd like to see more, stick around for part 2.